morning, Dana.
Morning, Dana.
Good morning. I'm not able to get to the go-to meeting. It won't let me download or activate that link.
You shouldn't have to download anything. You should just click on the link and it will bring you to the web.
If you're using an Apple computer, it's not going to let you do it.
No, I did. I clicked on the link and it took me to a page that says Run Go-To Meeting Opener. And then it says it's not installed.
Yeah, Dana, if you're using an AppNet computer, you won't be able to do that because you'd have to have admin privileges to do that. So the best you can do at this point would be to dial in. Or, I mean, you're on the dial-in line right now because what had mentioned to folks is that you'd have to use a non-AppNet computer and use a commercial wireless ISP to do that. Yeah.
Okay, I must have missed that.
Sorry about that, Dana.
That's okay.
I mean, we've got it up here in our conference room if you want to try to come on over, but by the time you get here, it might be over with.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, but are
y'all over in the hangar or are you over in your space?
We're in our space over in 675 in the second floor conference room.
That was.
Yeah, well, for this one, maybe I'll walk over for the next one. You're right, because by the time I walk over there, it'll be half over or over.
Yeah, for the testing, we're going to be over then in Hangar 13, though. So
okay, so
Hangar 13.
Yeah, occupational analysis.
It'll be the Airman Investment Division, Mr. Hayford's area.
Okay.
So it'll be promotion testing. This is Roger Corbett. It'll be on promotion testing, Dana, this afternoon.
Okay. Is that the conference room we are normally in? Or
Dana, it's okay. It'll be in the same conference room that we met with Damian.
Okay,
just inside the door of the hangar.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we should probably get started. Sajid, can you hear me?
Yes, Kathy, I do.
All right, so welcome everybody. Mark, I see that you're on the line along with Rishi. So
yes, ma'am.
I will leave this all in your hands, and
All right, well, terrific. Thank you so much. We appreciate the opportunity to speak with everybody. Some questions were shared with us, and I don't know how you would like us to proceed through it, but there was also a concern that we had that maybe it was communicated that folks were having a difficult time sending emails or uploading information into the system. So I wanted to check on that if I could, if that might be a good place to begin, and just understand what's going on there, and if you know, if it would be helpful for us to demonstrate how to number one, distribute emails, and number two, upload information or test responses into the account. Would that make sense, all?
Sure, Mark, it does. Yes, Kathy, go ahead.
that would be great.
Okay. Is it possible to pass control to Rishi?
Rishi is now the presenter.
Okay. All right.
Yep, okay. So you should all be seeing my screen, and I've got just a survey called Basic Feedback pulled up.
Rishi, excuse me, could you make it a little bit bigger? Hard time seeing it here.
Let's see. Is that better?
No difference.
Does that work?
Okay. Excellent.
No difference.
So
That's better.
in your survey, and I'll go ahead and unlock the survey, but within your survey, so once the questions and all are created, there is a tab up here on the navigation menu called Distributions. within this, when you click on distributions, if you've sent out any surveys, you should see a graph here that'll show you, how many surveys have been sent and using what channel. If you haven't sent anything, then you'll have a green button in the middle that'll sort of ask you to create a distribution. And your options, it looks something like this. Your options under email would be to compose an email or to get a single reusable link or to generate something trackable for each client. So if you click on compose email, that should take you directly into the email editor. If you're logged into your own accounts right now, do you want to just log in and check that you have access to all of the functionality I just showed?
So we're in a conference room, and we're recording this so that they can.
Does this make sense to the stakeholders? Does this have we run into challenges with this part?
It makes sense.
That wasn't our issue. Our issue was having the privileges to actually send the email. Okay.
Yeah, and you have that access.
Okay. So this shouldn't be a problem. We don't.
Okay. And you can send a preview email there to see what it looks like, and just type in your own address, and it will give a preview of that. This question type actually includes the first question embedded in the email, so you can go ahead and take a look at that. But if you have a contact list, you'll want to add the contact list at the contacts page, and then you can distribute it to that entire list or to segments of it as you go. We also wanted to talk about maybe test data and uploading responses, if that makes sense. That was another question that had come across.
Mark, so 1 second. So the question is, can they load in email addresses into this trial site and then send out 100 or 200 email to the surveys?
Show them that really quick.
Absolutely. So there's a couple of ways you can do the upload. You can do it right through the email window while you're here, or on the main page there's a contacts option. So you can do it right there. So let me go through both of those options really quickly. When you're in the email window and you go to the to column, you'll see a drop down and you have the option to pick from a contact list, or you can create a new contact list. When you create a new contact list, this little window opens up and you have the option here to type in those email addresses, right? But if you've got about 100 or 200, that might be a bit too much to type in. So in that sort of scenario, you cancel out of email and you go to the contacts form or the contacts menu option. When I click on that, and you'll have access to this as well, when you click on that, you go in and you create a new contact list. You give it a name, so let's call it CL, I'm going to give it test. You can choose which folder you want that contact list located in. Hit next, and then you're taken to an add contacts page, where you have the option to upload the contact list using a CSV file. If you wanted to see what that CSV file should look like, click on this example document, and Qualtrics will automatically download a format of what that CSV file should look like. And it should look something like this, where you have the first name, last name, and primary email columns. And then you've got some additional metadata fields that you have the option to use if you'd like.
So when we talk about embedded data and using logic based off of embedded data, here's one area where you can add that embedded data. So you can, put in the rank of the person or the location that they are, or the course information there that this is about. So you can capture any number of different pieces of data that can be tracked there.
Can I ask a question?
So far?
I have a question.
Okay. With that, I think, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I have a very quick question. I know we weren't going to do question and answers here. We were going to do them offline, but we have one quick one.
This notion of a contact list is tied to this. Well, in our fundamental to how we track and see surveys, and the notion of a contact needs to cross across different batches of surveys. And I see you have these attributes, but if I create a contact list and then I want to say send another email from another batch of surveys and change these attributes somehow, is there any functionality for managing this metadata in this environment, or I have to re-upload from my original source?
No, you have the option to manage those attributes. Let me go ahead and jump back in here and show you an example of a contact list. So once you upload the contact list, this is what it looks like. And when you click on each contact, you have the option to edit, and that's where you can add the embedded data. So the embedded data, just like as you mentioned, those attributes, that's what embedded data is. So I could put one and call it gender male, and that would be, one of those attributes that you can certainly add. For ones that already have attributes in there, let's see, there's an option in there. You can just certainly go in and edit those as needed. You can also add contacts into multiple lists. So think of contact lists as distribution lists. So you can have, this one contact can be in several different lists as required based on the type of survey that you're sending out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We do have an option. Sorry, we do have an option for more sort of a more advanced contact list management, where you can control and do queries based on those attributes, as well as set up things like contact frequency, so that even though multiple parties might be sending surveys, you don't inadvertently send someone 4 surveys in a day, things of that nature. So we've got a contact frequency as well as a more robust contact management solution called Target Audience, which, if there's interest, we can talk about at some point.
Yeah, we did not enable that more advanced functionality for this trial, but it's out there.
Thank you
Any
for
other
that.
questions? Sure.
Much appreciated.
Maybe we can show the test data and the upload data as well then.
So I'm going to switch tracks into testing data and uploading data. Last point on the contact list is, once those contact lists are created or uploaded, in the email section, you just select them from the drop-down list, and you have the option to select the entire contact list or a sample within the contact list. So, sort of an assortment of people within the contact list, or even an individual person that you might want to set.
Excuse me, can I interrupt just for a sec?
Sure.
This is Steve Hansen from Air University. We have a room full of folks that we're trying to connect in using the video link that was provided. Are you broadcasting the GoToMeeting?
Yes, we are. We are sharing the screen.
We are waiting.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, we've got the link up. The screen is showing, and we're waiting. It says the meeting will begin when Kathy Hines arrives.
Oh, so we sent out a different link to you that you should this morning. Our apologies for that.
Go back to the calendar invite.
Okay, we will dial in. I'll try to get the revised link. They sent a new one. Okay, we'll try to connect in separate. We'll get that. Yeah, disconnect that one. All right, we'll call you right back.
We are also recording this session, as Kathy had mentioned, so all the things you may have missed, you have access to that recording file.
Is that correct? Are we recording this, Kathy?
That is correct.
Okay, cool.
Excellent.
Great.
All right, let's get to data, test data. To access test data, I'm going to jump back to the survey module. And let's consider the situation where I've created my questions. but now I want to look at the data and I want to just upload or have some test data in there so I can look at my reports and such. Under the Tools section, you have the option to select Test Survey. When you click on Test Survey, you have the option then to have the platform automatically generate some responses for you. There's additional options as well, such as, having some questions remain unanswered if they're not mandatory, or showing sort of verbose outputs and putting in some other embedded data. Although that option screen is not required, it's optional. So on the responses side, you can put in the number of responses, the number of test responses you'd like to create, and then just click on Start Test. What the platform will do at this point is it will go through your survey instrument and generate automatic responses, as if a person was answering the survey 50 times. I should point out, though, for unstructured data or open text questions, the platform will generate some essentially placeholder Latin text for those types of questions. All right. Once I hit close, I can then jump to the Data and Analysis tab to look at those 50 text-generated questions. They will have a recorded date. You can see that the date and time matches up to right now, and it'll show you just sort of the test responses that are created.
In Latin.
Any questions or comments on test responses?
Nope, I think we're good.
All right. Should you have a scenario where you need to upload your own responses and not do an auto generation of test responses, we have that option as well.
23.
So,
23.
So can everybody please make sure they're muted? Thank you.
So under the Data and Analysis tab, you have the option to export your data set or import data into the platform, import responses that can be used for test. Our recommendation is to first go in and create at least one automatic test data field or response, or go through the preview window and answer the survey once. After we do that, you can export the data file in CSV format. So click on download. It will download the data set. It should take a couple of seconds here. Once it's downloaded and you open up that CSV file, then our recommendation is, and here's the data set with the 58 responses, or 60 responses here, I guess. Once you've downloaded the data set, now you can go in and basically copy and paste your new data set right into the CSV file that you've downloaded. The reason I make this recommendation is so that you have the format that can then be uploaded into the platform. The other option, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so that creates your pin-for-pin match, and that's just a best practice.
The other option is to go to the Import Responses tab, so back into Data Analysis, and then you click on the Import Data field, and then just like when we were uploading contacts, you see a very similar window, which then gives you another downloadable link to the format that is needed for when you're doing data uploads. And this is what that CSV file would look like. You notice here that you've got all the required questions, including the text, and then the second row contains the ID numbers. Both these rows are very important when you're importing data back into the platform, so I would not delete or edit those by any means. And then you can just copy and paste all your personal response data right in those specific columns and rows. Any questions on importing data?
We're good.
Excellent. I should mention that there are no limits to uploads or downloads within the platform. You can download as many fields or as many times and as many responses as needed, and you can upload as many responses. The only consideration when uploading or importing responses is the time that it might take, and that's dependent on how strong of an internet connection you might have and how many rows you're uploading.
Yeah. And this is the mechanism that we use for our federal customers. We have a few of them who, like say the post office, that for union reasons and remote locations do a number of paper surveys. So they take those paper surveys, scan them, and then use this mechanism to import the responses. And they import tens of thousands of surveys every month into the platform using that mechanism. So it's been pretty efficient.
Okay, I'm going to jump back into the platform, and once we've got our responses, I'm going to jump over to reports. Just want to make sure that you all have. Go ahead.
There is a thing like how do we produce variable ID report for the project? It's done in the same way in exporting data or something?
Yes, so those variable IDs, the way I understood it looking at the question is that you're recoding your answers to put in those variable IDs. And when you do a data export, when you export the data, and let's say you go into legacy format, you have the option to choose fixed fields text. What this does is, this will, when you click on learn more, and I included this in my answer, it takes you to the support page, which will give you more details around how to do the export. When you choose a fixed field export, it will download all of your recoded IDs as well. And that will give you those variable IDs that you put in.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, is that what you were looking for?
Any other questions?
Okay.
So the final thing, I think, just to sort of finish out the data conversation, is the reports feature. When you jump to reports, the report that is generated is automatically generated based on all the data that's in the platform. So that'll be the test data that we've auto-generated, as well as any data that you've imported. And this report is created automatically. You then have the option to create new reports, or create a copy of the existing report, and then apply different types of filters. Filters can be based on metadata, can be based on those attributes within the contact list. It can be based on any embedded data. And then also on answers to different questions that you're asking. The individual visualizations themselves can be easily changed by selecting the visualization, and then on the right-hand side, selecting the alternative that you'd like to have. So in this case, a bar chart, a line chart might not make sense here, breakdown bar, or a pie chart. And the same goes for all the other questions within that report. You do have the option also to turn off certain questions so they don't show up in that particular report. And you can turn them on for a different report that you can create. Just like with data uploads and exports, there are no limits to the number of reports that can be created within the platform, and no limits on the number of downloads or number of times that you can download the report. Questions?
Yeah, so time's getting a little short, but I want to make sure that we talk about derived variables, derived variable control before the time is up.
Okay. So derived variables, were there any outstanding questions? I know we submitted a response to creating derived variables, but I wanted to see, were there any outstanding questions or clarifications we can offer?
Do we need communication with that? Okay. Are we good with that? Yeah. So I guess we're good with that.
Okay, if it's helpful to clarify that further, just let us know. But you know, we're just happy to go through those or any of the other answers. You know, as we wrap up. But there's a number of ways to include variables and logic into the program. You know, so it's very flexible in that regard, and you know, we want to make sure we're clear on those items.
Okay.
Is there anything further that we should cover? We had a couple of the submitted topics, but I just wanted to make sure we're, you know, looking at the time. I know I understand there's a hard stop. You know, one of the items that we saw was sometimes there's occasional connectivity issue that had come up. I know with our work with the survey office, they're distributing census surveys across the organization, and have tested, you know, the availability, and occasionally there's network issues everywhere, if not platform specific. But we've been able to access just about all sites with a 99% availability. So we're hoping that the platform, you're seeing the same numbers available on the platform, but happy to address any challenges that may have come up there with connectivity. But occasionally, as we see with things like GoToMeeting and other things, there's some items that we have to navigate in the Air Force network occasionally. Anything further?
We have time for.
So not for now because the time is limited.
Well, we'd love to answer any further. Yeah, we'd love to answer any further questions that you have and walk you through it. It's sometimes easiest to, you know, see what's happening. If you have any examples that we can address, we're happy to do so. We certainly appreciate everyone's time and consideration.
Yeah, we'll probably reach out to you again.
I have one quick question regarding something they covered.
One quick question.
The advanced contact management capabilities that you said are not enabled in this demo, is it possible to enable them in this demo for our viewing? Not now, but I mean, so that we can evaluate them before this evaluation period is up?
I want to say yes. You know, we just would like to understand maybe how you want to use it, so we could, you know, make it relevant for you all.
I guess the idea being that our contact lists, as they were, that's not how we think about them, but they involve a lot of metadata, and that logic about that metadata determines who we survey, how often we survey, what we do with the results, those kinds of things. And I want to see what kind of capabilities your contact management facility has versus, you know, the current database that we use.
Yeah, by all means. So it sounds like a relevant topic for us, and I can create, you know, some information about that, and we can investigate turning it on for y'all and setting that up. So we'll take that as a to-do, and I'll provide a little bit of information. On our website, we typically call this contact management target audience, but we'll provide some information and get that set up as relevant.
Thank you, Mark.
Sure. Thank you for your time. We certainly appreciate your investment.
And thank you, and we will definitely be in touch shortly.
Okay, terrific. Have a good morning, everybody.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.